we live? What's good, great people? I am Isa Moon, and I have a special guest in the building today on A Frank Conversation With. I will be talking with James Harris. He is the founder of Men to Heal. He's not only that, but he's also a serial entrepreneur, a veteran, and he's already in here. Well, let's get him on. Let's go ahead and let's get this conversation started. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, bro? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Man, first and foremost, I want to say it's an honor to have you on. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate this, man.
No, I definitely appreciate you extending the invitation, man. Hopefully, people can gain insight on what we share tonight.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Now I want to go ahead and start off with you and getting into a little bit about your background because I did some research and I read through some of your past interviews and you know I always like to open up with a question where I ask about some of the things that you quite possibly experienced when you were young that really just painted a picture of how difficult it is to be a black man in America. Were there any experiences that you feel like you had that was like, yeah, like this is something that I can pinpoint right here that shows me how hard it is to be black in America?
I mean, just the everyday struggle of being, a black man. Like in
Yeah,
today's time, it's definitely difficult. When people hate you based on the epidermis of your presentation.
of course.
Not even being a target, not even being derogatory, not even being, creating issues within society, but just basically your skin tone, your pigmentation. So
Right.
all of those things contribute to why, like now, it's such difficult. But I mean, growing up, it was difficult for me just based on the circumstances.
Right, right. Now I know that you were emancipated yourself at the age of 16.
Yeah.
Um, uh, how what was that process like making that decision, and how do you feel like it affected your relationship with your siblings?
I mean, it didn't affect my relationship with my siblings because they were in separate group homes. We remain close knit,
Okay.
still to this day. I only got a younger brother and sister, but making that decision to me was one of the best decisions I ever made, just based on I don't know where you are, how the system is there, but here in Richmond, Virginia, like you age out of foster care and group homes anyway.
Got
At age 18, it's probably changed now, but at that time, so for me, it just was more so one to get ahead of it, and I could have been stubborn as well, but for the most part, it was me just wanting to obtain things on my own.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, as far as your and before even get into this question, I want to say thank you for your service. Um, you were deployed twice, one time to Iraq and one time in Afghanistan.
Correct.
Um, Now, PTSD is defined as a disorder in which a person has difficulty recovering after experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event. And, the condition may last months or years with triggers that can bring back memories of the trauma accompanied by intense emotional and physical reactions. I'm still in your childhood a little bit. Can PTSD be brought on by events in our childhood? And have you ever seen cases of it?
Yeah, so I mean, as a therapist now, I definitely understand and know that PTSD can affect you as an adolescent. So there's no age limit on it. It's based on the trauma that you didn't even have to go through it. It could have been something that you witnessed. And just to clarify, acute stress disorder is before PTSD. So PTSD is a month and beyond. Acute stress disorder is anything within that month time frame. Just to clarify, so that people understand you. So PTSD can happen anytime after a month. So it can be 1 month, it can be 6 months, it can be a year, it can be 20 years, 30 years, and you can have a trigger that bring back the recollection of that traumatic event that occurred. And some things can happen within your childhood, whether it can be abuse, it can be rape, it can be a car accident. You could witness your friend, get injured or something like that. So all of those things are traumatic situations for most people.
Right. Okay. Now, I as far as getting through those traumatic situations, while you were growing up, from what I read, it says that at every turn you engaged in therapy, um, from the foster homes to your service in the army, there was a barrier of age, ethnicity, or class. Why do you feel like it is more important for people to get therapy from those that look like them?
I mean, a couple of different reasons, to be honest with you. But like now, people speak of a lot of cultural competency.
Right.
So cultural competence and being from the culture is totally different, you know. So I can read all the books I want. I can do all the case studies I want on Asian Americans or, uh, Hispanics or whatever. But I'm not Hispanic. I'm not Asian American. So the same thing for African Americans. I think it's definitely vital that you see somebody who look like you, because those presentations are important. That rapport building is important. Building that cohesive bond is important. Even if we take things now like the misdiagnoses of young boys and men with ADHD or non-diagnoses of oppression or not taking into account of trauma or grief and stuff like that, those things are important. And being African American, I can recognize that in an African American male. And I don't know about you, but think about how when you was a kid, you probably stayed up at your grandma's house. You probably hung out with a gang load of cousins. Everybody was over there. You guys slept in the living room, stuff like that.
Right.
And then you go back home, and then probably next week you probably at your aunt's house. Everybody doing the same thing in the living room. All your cousins over there. Y'all playing in the neighborhood. But to a other social worker or a counselor outside of our ethnicity, they'll see that as unstable living. They'll see that as you bouncing around, opposed to like that's what we did as survival. Going to grandma's house or going to aunt house and mingling with all our cousins in the living room. That was fun to us. We didn't recognize it as a symptom or something. So, those things are different. I wouldn't classify that as a issue towards the growth of a adolescent.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I really didn't. I really never ever thought. I didn't think that, you know, having those time. I thought that was just, family time. Just hey, being able to kick it with your people.
Sure.
But yeah, I didn't. Wow. So
I
that
mean, so firsthand, like I've seen it sitting in FAP meetings. I've seen it sitting in IEP meetings,
right.
where a non-African American clinician making decisions on his African American family, say things like that or insinuate that this is part of the reason.
Right.
So I had, excuse me, advocate for the family or display my assertiveness in trying to assist this family into why those things aren't, because to us that's normal. That's what we do. Grandma house got all the cousins, I'm
Yep.
going to my aunt house to go to school or catching the bus from grandma house or something like that.
Right.
But to them it's different because they are used to that traditional household. So that can bring in misdiagnoses or underdiagnoses for certain things.
How often do you feel like POCs are misdiagnosed? Because as a teacher in my day job, I really feel like a lot of the students that I have seen, are misdiagnosed because they're really bright. They just don't get enough either time or enough understanding from other teachers, right? Whenever they're going trying to do their work or they're in their classroom. How often do you think that happens?
No, so it happens definitely more frequently than you think. You got to think now. Like, look, if you look at the news, you see the white people calling the cops on black men. The currents, right? Those
Right.
things. But those currents are teachers as well. Putting kids out of classrooms,
Yeah.
interrupt our learning environment for being disruptive. But for them, I would suggest that it's not the kid being disruptive or mischievous. He's not challenged. He's, expressing himself. He's trying to be artistic and creative,
Right.
but it gets a negative connotation based on that teacher not being able to control the classroom, not being able to handle that environment. So in some cases, those are unfortunate misdiagnoses because now, you know, repeatedly sending this kid to the office or to the guidance counselor or whoever, in that school setting it is, and then of course the labels come, the suggestion of medications come, the
Right.
suggestion of switching classroom come, and stuff like that. All because this teacher, in most cases, wasn't able to control the classroom or wanted, to do something different within that classroom setting.
Right. That makes sense. I've noticed. I've definitely noticed that you know, it more often than not happens to the students that look like you and I than than any of the other children. And I mean, I see my son now, and he has a bunch of energy right now. As young as he's 2, right? And so I look at him like, oh, okay, well, he's kind of like my own personal case study. Like, me, you know, we just have an abundance of energy that we exude in different ways, and we'll put it, and we'll put it towards the right things if we have, like you said, if we're challenged enough, we'll definitely put it towards something that is beneficial for us, and that'll display that, hey, we actually can concentrate, we can focus. But it's as if, like there's a lower tolerance for African American male children, like it's like, oh, hey, well, it's too much, like he's too
So
boisterous. He's
not only that, but diagnoses. When it comes to diagnoses, boys are diagnosed more than girls. Um, Boys are misdiagnosed more than girls, and then you have to factor in the fact too that most teachers are women. So the ability to be able to handle a boy who is probably not used to a certain type of authority figure, whether that is a woman, whether that is a Caucasian woman, at that. So all of those things factor into why now this young man is being displaced or put out of the classroom or sent to the office repeatedly. So those are factors we definitely have to focus on and contribute and to at least bring into judgment.
right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Why do you feel you know why do you feel like the therapy field, as well as, because you mentioned it, like the field of education, are both so women dominated? What do you feel like has caused that? Because in my mind, I've always had this mindset of, well, it was portrayed as women's work, whereas it was something that really should have been done by both male and females. What are your thoughts?
That's a society perception thing. If you want my opinion, you got to like if you take it all the way back to the Industrial Revolution, where most men were in the factory jobs, they were used to working with their hands and stuff like that, so that continued. And then, if you can recall, maybe 10 to 15 years ago, it was tech in school where you can do, auto mechanic, you do electrician, you can do different stuff. So of course, those things continue to be separate based on gender within the job field. So it just continued that way. But from an education standpoint, we definitely need more men in the therapeutic field, in the teaching field, and stuff like that.
Of course, of course, of course. And now, just a real quick fact: according to Black Health Matters, only 26% of men of color between the ages of 18 and 44 who experience anxiety or depression actually use mental health treatment. Uh, this is especially alarming when suicide is the third leading cause of death for Black men between the ages of 15 to 24. Now, growing up, we're taught to be emotionless. What do you feel like are the other contributing factors that cause for us as men not to seek help?
Well, lack of resources, lack of empathy from societies. Some as a mass part of society that still equate vulnerability to weakness. So a lot of men tend not to open up. And if you go to my YouTube page, I have a video on there detailing why men tend not to express themselves. I got a host of other videos on there as well. But also, we got to factor in that a lot of people still, specifically African Americans, don't want to seek treatment from any outside providers. Even if you look at 6 months ago, uh, the COVID situation, the French came on and said they wanted to test the vaccines on Africans first.
Of
Like
course.
ignorant stuff like that makes African Americans not want to participate. And then you got to figure out, like us as professionals and within the field, we got confidentiality, we got HIPAA violations and stuff like that. But you, as the client or the patron, don't know that. So you still figure if I open up and give you my information, it'll be used against me. So I might lose my
Right.
job, I might get my children taken away from me and stuff like that. And then we got the factors of course, people still tied to religion or bound by those factors of I can just spread away, everything will be good. And then of course you got those again that the views of masculinity, the views of I can just hold this in and I can work it off, you know what I'm saying, or I can sex it off, I can be promiscuous or reckless, and then it'll just go away, opposed to because all those things that you're trying to do contributes to the lack of emotional stability within your relationship moving forward. but that's not understood.
Right. I'm not gonna. I can't lie. You know, I think about the advice that I got from like some of my older male colleagues about heartbreak. Right. The best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else. Things of that nature. And it's something. It's a trope that isn't just for just males, it's for women as well. And I hear from
So,
both sides. So it's like hey, where why is it that we try to heal ourselves with sex so much?
no, so there's a couple of different diagnoses where being promiscuous is a factor in in that deciding factor of the diagnosis. But
Right.
a lot of people still feel that's a way to cope. Like that's been a way to cope for a long time. Even the generations prior to us, you got to remember, like it's Papa was a Rolling Stone. It's
Right.
what I mean. Like you got a cousin down the street or a
You got
neighbor
no.
or
You got a
somewhere.
brother down the street. Got
Exactly, because that's what happens. Like people tend to, you know, get in this situation and avoid the situation and thinking that that's how they can overcome a situation by trying to cope. So being promiscuous or being sexually deviant is a means of expressing yourself too. Like the same way when we run to alcohol or substance, they run to sex to obtain that gratification and to feel like they're wanted and to feel like they're needed, based on all those emotions.
Man, it's crazy. You know, do you feel like that? Well, actually, you know what? Let me ask you. As just because I know you're also a licensed therapist. So that that need or that feeling of I want to be wanted, right? Does that come from not being? Where does that come from? Like, where does it stem from?
So that would all depends on each situation because each person is different. Each person tolerance level is different. Each person resiliency level is different. But in childhood, you got somebody that can be abandoned that wants to feel loved. You got somebody that need to be appreciated. You got a trauma bond. You got somebody that's emotionally detached that needs to feel a certain type of emotion. If I'm being touched, if I'm being hugged, so it can all come from different places depending on the person.
Do you mind explaining to me what trauma bonds are? Because I feel like the memes aren't really accurately depicting them.
Yeah, so trauma bonds is a bond that is created by two people within a relationship that are codependent upon each other based on a poor experience that could have taken place. So let's just say I was in a household growing up and it was a lot of abuse or a lot of substance use or whatever. And now I meet this young lady and it was the same thing with her household, so we bonded around that. We both were damaged growing up. So now our relationship is full of toxic energy, full of arguments, full of being conflicts and cantankerous and stuff like that. So people outside looking in like, dang, how come y'all still together? Like all y'all do is argue, all y'all do is fight. But to you two, it's a perfect relationship. You two are having fun within a relationship. You two, at each other's throats all the time. Conflict, anger, annoying, probably physical abuse and stuff like that. But it's a bond that you two have, and it's one of those things that's most common. That is more common in relationships than less common, and a lot of people don't even know it. A lot of people feel that that's how a relationship go because again, it was modeled growing up, or it's something that they're accustomed to.
Right, but I mean, isn't it? Aren't relationships like on? Because like I said, the memes, right? Because it's like, hey, you got to build that perfect relationship, and it's whatever you two make of it. So what is a perfect, healthy relationship? Like how does that go? What does it look like?
Yeah, so it's okay to have a relationship where you guys have disagreements. However, a relationship should not be emotionally, mentally, or physically damaging, to either party, whether you're the male or the female, whether you're the aggressor or the victim. You shouldn't be in a position to where you're not validated. You shouldn't be in a position to where you're being abused. So regardless of your relationship setting or your relationship factors, your upbringing, you can stop it now. And I got a video on my YouTube as well on communication, on tough parenting conversations, and different stuff like that that people can, look out for if they needed to.
Most def. And it's youtube.com/.
Mental Heal, Mentoheal. They can get to it from our website, mentalheal.com as well.
Most definitely. We'll at the end of the video, we'll put all the links at the bottom as well, so we can make sure everyone gets to it. Uh, Now, you're not only a veteran, you're not only a staple in your community, you're not only a father, a brother, but you're also an author. Uh,
Yeah.
you're the author of Man, Just Express Yourself. Can you speak to of plug the book. Right there, y'all. Make sure y'all get that. Now, can you speak to us though of the book and how it's supposed to help the community?
Yeah. Well, today is November 1st, man. So salute to all those authors out there. It's National Authors Day.
Hey,
Um, I'm a self-published author. My book is definitely on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart, pretty much anywhere books are sold, and it's definitely on my website as well, mentalheal.com. But it's pretty much just things that I do in practice with my clients, things I do like different emails and text messages or inboxes come and people had questions about certain things. So I pretty much put it all together in this piece of literature, and I address over 65 different topics from affirmation, goals, trauma, resentment, conflict, intentions, pride, misogyny, conflict resolution, mental health, peer pressure, just a lot of different things that men wouldn't often talk about unless we're in the barbershop or in a safe space. And this right here is a tool that a wife can buy for her husband, give it to him. He do a couple exercises, and then they exchange dialogue over dinner or a date night, and she can learn insight, on some of the things that happen. Because in any other setting, if a wife or a girlfriend come up to you and say, "Hey, tell me about your emotions or your feelings," it might be a conflict. It might be met with resistance. But this right here will be used as a tool to enhance you guys' communication and your relationship. Or a parent, a mom or dad can buy this book for their adolescent son, and it can be a tool that he grow with. He can do this book at 10 years old, and then next year he can look back and see is he triggered by the same things, or see if he's still growing, or see what areas he need to improve in. And of course, my fellow therapists, tons of them got it in our lobby as a conversation starter for different people in different places. So I've just been fortunate enough to be able to put out a piece of literature that is being received well, and it's pretty much changing lives. I get a lot of testimonials from couples that's been married 20 and 40 years saying, "Hey, this is most my husband and I talked in a minute," or their mom saying, "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but my son is learning to do da da da," so it's a good tool.
Okay, let go ahead. All right, let me go ahead and make sure I list the books I need to purchase, and have for my little man's whenever he gets to that age. And honestly,
Yeah, man, 10 years old
yeah.
is pretty much probably the youngest, because it's different exercises in here, and you got the option to write out your answer,
Right.
or you can draw out your answer. So that's what I mean by interactive. I got a lot of people that are, not as articulated that they want to write out their words, but I got a lot of people who are creative in expression with drawing and stuff like that. So some of the pictures I've been getting back has been phenomenal and amazing. Just hearing how people are doing the work, how people are engaging themselves to do something different and enhance their knowledge, whether it's from the man buying the book itself, or again like the wives or the moms buying it for their children or their partners and stuff like that.
Makes sense. Now this all ties in with your goals for Men to Heal.
Yeah, so Mental Heal is an interactive movement, was a international movement now to get men back focused on their overall wellness, their mental health as well as their physical health. And it's been a heck of a journey, man. I launched it in 2018, and it's doing phenomenal. Has speaking engagements in 5 different countries, many states here domestically. Um, and just doing different stuff within the community, different sections like that. It started off on 20 to 30 people, got all the way up to about 65 pre-COVID. It's just phenomenal, man. Different speaking engagements, just me providing information and insight to assist men out there, to assist families. The sessions were normally packed with men and women. Women are come and advocate for their fathers or their brothers or their sons and stuff like that. And of course, the men came to obtain insight, and it just was a safe space for men to be vulnerable and open.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Why do you feel like there isn't so many safe spaces nowadays? And that you have to create that you have to specifically go out and create them.
I mean, to be honest with you, like we have to do everything on our own. There's no way that we should rely on somebody else to do anything for us. My favorite motto is if they can feed you, they can starve you, and that I apply that to every facet of my life. So,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the one to ensure that I'm feeding my people. I want to ensure that I'm in a position to feed myself. So, whether that's knowledge, whether that's financial literacy, whether that's using my own resources, that's what I do. I just ensure that I'm doing my part. And to me, my part was, since I'm a therapist, since I'm a black man, since I am a man, since I'm a veteran, since I was in the system, it was up to me to ensure that I hand down my knowledge for the next generations, the next entity of upstanding people.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I had to make sure that one right there. That hey, that's the one. If they can
Oh
feed,
yeah,
they can starve.
yeah,
That's the
man.
one
That's
right
my motto, man. Like
there.
that's what I live by.
Hey, well, boy, yeah. Where'd you get that? Like, how'd you get to that mindset?
That was when I was in the group home, man.
Yeah.
So when I was 16, I emancipated myself, and that was literally something I said sitting on the edge of the bed because I knew, like, right now I'm confined by authority. It might sound weird, but I didn't want to be confined by authority, man. Not in that sense. So I'm like, yo, they feeding me, they're telling me what to do, they da 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 da. As a stubborn kid, maybe, but in hindsight, that's reality. People relying on the government. People are in jobs that they're unhappy at. People are in relationships that they're unhappy at. They can't leave because one partner is taking care of the bills or whatever the case is. So for me, it's true. Like, no, I want to ensure that I'm in control of what I need to be in control of.
Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. I love it, man. And speaking of which, man, you do a lot of different. You do a lot for different aspects of the community, from hosting financial literacy workshops to volunteering with veterans, churches, hospitals, schools. You know, I think you kind of touched on it, but what what really is the driving force? What is it that that keeps you going and like just it says, hey, you know what, James, let's get up today. Let's make it happen. What is that for you?
Man, I got my loved ones watching. Man, I got daughters that's watching. I got a community that needs a positive male influence, not only just within my community but the world. And again, man, like for me to use my own resources and being able to provide access and availability to my community is something that I think should be done. And I think everybody should take that task, whether you are in a suburban area or urban area. It definitely should be, a collective view of society opposed to the individual view of society. So for me, it's more about, like I got it. Let me at least help and contribute, and put other people in a position to be able to obtain something. Because like if I was afforded the opportunities that I afford people, just imagine how far I would be. So right now, it's another me that's about to come up. So I just want to ensure that I'm helping him or her. So that's my take on it. I just want to make sure I'm doing my part, man, because at the end of the day, the people I'm helping when I'm no longer here will help my children's children. You know what I'm saying? Just off the strength of, oh, I remember your dad. He did X, Y,
Yeah,
Z. Come on in. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
that's all I want. I want that legacy to continue. I want that to be, I just want that to be my staple, man. Just so my children are good, their children are good. So I just want to be in a position to say that and do that. I want my name to carry weight. I want my actions to carry even more weight.
Right. I got you, man. That's real. That's real. I love it. I love it. Man. So I have I want to actually touch on this because you are all these great things, but I don't know if people know too much about that serial entrepreneur that you are
Mm.
as well. I do have quite a few entrepreneurs that go back and watch these videos, and they do actually pick through and like they pull certain gems out of out of knowledge that is given. Do you have any that you would like to share for those that are currently trying? Especially me myself, like I'm trying to build a little something, something. So you got any words of wisdom for me?
Yeah, keep building. I would say most importantly, ignore the perception of others. Like that get a lot of people shut down, and a lot of people reduce their motivation or reduce the fact of they want to continue to drive on just by thinking what somebody else wants to see. Forget their opinion. Use your own advice. Believe in yourself and continue to go. It's up to you. Like depending on what you want to do and why you want to do it, make it happen. I would definitely suggest you continue to go.
Like this is basically what I want to do. I want to interview people for the rest of my life, give them a platform, tell their story. Also, let folks know more about them, and as well as put get folks that are watching to assist whatever cause that the person I'm interviewing cares about. Because I feel like all it does is bring the world a step closer to being a global community. That's my overall vision.
So do it. All you got to do is figure out a way now to maximize it and monetize it. You know what I'm saying? It was this little girl in Chicago named Oprah. Now she's a billionaire. All she did was interview too, right? So you just got to remember, like, so many different things are at your disposal right now. You just got to take advantage of it. And a lot of people think that entrepreneurship is hard work and grind and stuff like that. Entrepreneurship is innovation. Entrepreneurship is having the drive to accomplish something that somebody needs. It's not so much of you getting your hands dirty and doing the work. You can sell your idea. You can get somebody to fund your idea. You can get donations. You can get so many other resources within this thing now. Like right now, if you put up your Cash App, I'm sure people would contribute and you can host or pay for the next speaker. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Right.
all about how you want to maximize and to monetize off your experience and your creativity because that's all it is. If you don't do it, somebody else gonna do it.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Thank you for that. I appreciate the knowledge, and I'm definitely I'm gonna be utilizing it.
Yeah.
Man, okay, I got some things I got to think about later on after this. So now the goal of this show though is like I said is philanthropy though. Garnering support for a cause someone with your influence cares about. Can you please let me know what charity, what nonprofit would you like to spotlight today, and why is the cause that it faces so important to you?
Yeah, so I mean, if I can't do my own, which is a donation link on my website, mentalheal.com, but my organization, again, assists young men, boys, men, not only within the therapeutic process, but group setting, to men, families, and stuff like that. So if it's not my own specifically, then of course I would definitely do Black Men Heal, which is an organization that I often partner with and assist and donate to. So they dope and amazing. Um, Therapy for Black Girls. There's so many different organizations that I personally contribute to. But if the foundation is overall given, then I would just encourage people to do that within an organization that's close to that region or close to some that can make an impact within that community.
Got it. Most definitely. So I'll like I said, we'll be including the link for Mental Heal, and we'll also include the link for Black Men Heal as well, because like I said, I feel like those are great things to have the folks donate to have people throw some support behind because I mean we need that in our community. Um, what do you feel like is the biggest? What do you feel like is the biggest issue that we as a people face right now in this day and age?
I mean, it all depends on which view you're sitting on, because it's a part of society that's saying we're holding ourselves back. It's a part of society that's saying the oppressor is holding us back. But at the end of the day, I think progress is meant for all of us to at least do our part and contribute in some way within society. So, again, regardless of what restraints another person has, I think it's up to you to go beyond those and meet whatever your maximum potential is as an individual, so you can help the collective. Because even if you look at the neighborhoods on a micro level and then look at the cities and states all across on a macro level, it's pretty much people saying the same thing. Like we need access availability. We need to stop being disenfranchised. We need certain rights and resources that the others get, whether that's uh, the Caucasians or the Hispanics, or the Native Americans for that matter. You know, so everybody other often get loans and grants and stuff like that, but African Americans tend to be the last ones on the list.
Man, I actually had a question for you that I had to really stop and think about. I know you're not gonna answer it. I know you're not, because you have like this job that I was reading about. It said like, oh well, it's like this like really high clearance job, right? That's part of the government. So I know you can't answer it, but I do have from from my perspective as a citizen, right? Is there any words of wisdom or knowledge that you can impart upon upon us, those that are watching, that will that will help that will help us, as far as like with anything that is coming in the along the lines in the future, like of because not too many people actually know the plans that the government has. And I know you have a vantage point to where you can see like, oh, okay, well, I see some things that are going to be coming down the pipeline. Here's some things that you should pop. Here's some things as a community we should probably be doing. And I know you
Yeah,
said, hey, we need to be contributing, helping out, doing our own, right? But what is there anything else? Any type of tidbits of information, knowledge that you could impart on us?
yeah. I mean, I have no clue what you're talking about, but I do know. So I've been a government employee and entrepreneur for as long as I can remember. I've been at my current job since 2011, so 9 years. My clearance is above top secret. It's I have a
Right,
SCI.
that's what I'm talking about. The
Yeah,
above top. I'm like, so
but
can you not talk
my
about it?
entity. No,
Yeah.
I can talk about it. Like I don't work for like I work for a specialized entity within the government, but it has nothing to do with therapy or
Right.
it's more of in the realm of like security and stuff like that, with
Right. Right.
force protection and stuff like that. So it's not
Gotcha.
really like I don't have access to pretty much anything. I'm just
Oh,
ensuring that foreign threats don't invade basically.
right. I thought you were like secret squirrel, like national security, like level, like something like I was like, oh,
That's done, man. I'm done with that part of my life. Like after
oh,
my daughter is 8, I last deployed in 14.
right.
That was my last active mission, doing secret squirrel stuff. Outside of that, now I'm just a regular employee, man. With my clearance is up there, just
Okay,
based on the job itself, but not because I'm around. I have access to certain information, but I'm not around it.
gotcha.
If that makes sense, yeah.
It does. It does. Now, can you tell me some of the secret squirrel like missions that you went on out off mic, off camera and whatnot? Because I would love to listen. I'm not gonna lie. Like I love hearing stories like that. Like I'm one of those guys. Like if you got time, only if you got
I mean, it would all depends on I'll be vague, I guess.
time. Hey, that's fine. That's fine with me. It can be off camera. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you later off camera. Like, hey, like, what about them stories? I want to listen to
Yeah,
them
yeah.
whenever you get a chance. But no, before we wrap up, I always like to close out with words of wisdom from you to the youth. Now, you were in the foster care system. Um, what knowledge would you have? What knowledge would you like to impart on them? Those that are currently in the system and they need some type of guidance. So they're currently having a hard time dealing with being in the system.
Take advantage of it, because I want to make sure that I'm politically correct. In every situation that you're faced upon, just ensure that you're maximizing your ability to obtain everything that you can from that situation. So, prime example, when I was in foster care and group home, I didn't maximize it as much as I can. Because I emancipated myself, because I know it all, because I was, in hindsight, I'm doing good. 5 businesses, 4 properties, 17 investments, but somebody else, had the same opportunities and they didn't do as well. So what I mean by that is I should have taken more advantage of the system opposed to just being in the system, opposed to just being a statistic. I guess I could have had them pay for college. I could have got computers and stipends and all this other stuff. So what I'm saying to you, if you are in the system, definitely maximize it. Everything that you're afforded, everything opportunity-wise that you can obtain from the system, take it. Even if you don't use it, take it because it's gonna go to waste or uh, it's going to get reduced next year based on the budget, and you have nothing to do with that. But if they see that this part of social services is not using funding, then they're going to take that funding and put it somewhere else. So even if you don't need it, take it anyway. And the same thing, of course, for my soldiers. Maximize your time within the service because you got to, because they're gonna use you to death, man. You know, you're gonna have these ailments, these injuries and stuff like that, and then when you get out, you're gonna be sitting at the VA in these long lines with probably a lack of resources or getting denied disability. So definitely take advantage of as much as you can while you can. Don't feel that you're taking somebody else's spot. Feel that you're trying to better yourself in your situation, because if not, they're just gonna cut the budget anyway.
Most definitely, most definitely. How can the people reach you? How can the people support you? How can people follow you?
Yeah. So definitely hit me on here, men_2, which is TO_HEAL, or hit me on my website, and it has everything on it. Men2heal.com, MENTOHEAL.com. It has my YouTube subscribe link on there. It has my book on there. Make sure you go and get that. It has my, of course, social media on there. It has a donation link on there as well. If you want to continue to move the mission forward, I definitely appreciate you. But go to my YouTube, watch those videos, share those videos, because it's such great insight for not only the men, but of course those families as well. People need that information.
Most definitely. I'll be getting that out there. I'll be putting the information at the bottom of this video. Family, before we go, I want to make sure that you understand that I'm speaking your success into existence. Everything that you're trying to do for the world, everything that you're trying to do for the community. I'm praying that, you know, it grows. Everything just grows and it reaches the people that you're trying to help. Thank you again so much for your time. 17 investments. You got to teach me that. You got to teach me that. You got to teach me how to do that.
Oh yeah, bro. It's trial and error, man. Like I definitely couldn't have been so far ahead if I didn't make as many mistakes or trick up as much money as I did. But now I got a little system going, so I'm good. So you know, we'll see what happens. We're gonna continue to move forward, man.
Most definitely, man. You have a blessed, amazing evening, then, brother.
My man, appreciate you for having me, man. Keep up the good work, man, and figure out a way to monetize this thing, man. You go on your way.
Thanks, family. I'm trying. Hey, look, I'm trying. I'm trying. I got you though. I'm put my cash up at the bottom, like you said. Like that's what I'm starting doing.
You never know. They gonna hit it. You know. You gonna figure it out, man.
Hey, look, I will. I appreciate it again.
All right, bro.
All right. Oh my gosh, y'all. That was James. You guys. Oh man, that was an amazing conversation. Please go back, watch this interview again. Definitely share it out. You guys support anything and everything that he touches. Thank you all so much for tuning in. When you guys do get a chance, please hit the link in my bio. I need y'all to sign this petition for me to help and end SARS and hold those that committed the atrocities at Lekki Tollgate accountable. Thank you all so much once again for tuning in. I'm Iza Moon, and I'm not doing it unless it's fun and it helps. Purchase my book, Purple Mike Wants a Bike, at Amazon.com. You can find it there. Just type in Purple Mike, type in Iza Moon, and it'll pop up. If you guys want to follow me, no, not even if, go follow me at Izamoon_ on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Iza Moon, and I'm not doing it unless it's fun and it helps people.